Blackwood was a quiet town, too quiet. Especially on New Year's Eve, locals whispered about a chilling legend, a legend that kept everyone indoors. Years ago, the town celebrated New Year's Eve at the clock tower, but at midnight something terrible happened. The clock stopped, people vanished, never to be seen again. Now the clock tower stood silent, a looming reminder of the town's tragic past. No one dared to celebrate New Year's Eve outside their homes, except this year. This year, 4 friends had a daring plan. Max, the fearless leader, always had a knack for rallying the group with his bold ideas. Erin, the voice of reason, often kept the group grounded with her sensible advice. She was the one who always thought things through. Jake, the skeptic, questioned everything, never taking things at face value. And Chloe, the adventurous one, always ready to dive headfirst into any challenge. They were tired of living in fear, tired of the whispers and the stories that held them back. They didn't believe the legend that had haunted their town for generations, a tale of a cursed clock tower that no one dared to visit on New Year's Eve. They decided to challenge it, to face their fears head-on and prove to everyone that the legend was nothing more than a myth. They would celebrate New Year's Eve at the clock tower, a place that had been abandoned and shrouded in mystery for as long as they could remember.
We're going to prove that this legend is just a story, Max declared with unwavering confidence, his eyes gleaming with determination.
Are you sure this is a good idea, Max? Erin asked, her voice tinged with concern. She couldn't shake the feeling that they were tempting fate.
Come on, Erin, you don't actually believe in this nonsense, do you? Jake retorted, his skepticism evident. He had always been the one to question everything.
Let's just do it. What's the worst that could happen? Chloe chimed in, her adventurous spirit shining through. She was always up for a challenge, no matter how daunting.
As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the town, the air grew colder, and the sense of anticipation heightened. They gathered at the foot of the tower, their breaths visible in the chilly evening air. A nervous excitement filled the atmosphere, each of them feeling the weight of what they were about to do. They were determined to prove that the legend was just a story, a fabrication meant to scare children and keep people away from the tower. But as they climbed the creaking stairs and reached the top, they were about to discover the terrifying truth that lay hidden within the shadows of the clock tower. The legend was real, and their lives would never be the same again. The old clock tower was even creepier up close. Its towering presence loomed over the small town, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch endlessly. The moonlight barely penetrated the thick fog that surrounded it, adding to the eerie atmosphere. Its stone walls were cold and damp, as if they had absorbed centuries of secrets and whispers. The moisture clung to the stones, making them glisten in the dim light, and the air was thick with the scent of moss and decay. The air grew heavy with each step they took inside. Every creak of the wooden stairs echoed through the hollow structure, amplifying their sense of unease. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their breaths visible in the cold air. They could hear the faint ticking of the clock, a constant reminder of the passage of time. The mechanism, though ancient, still worked with a precision that was almost unsettling. Each tick seemed to echo through the empty tower, getting louder, more insistent. The sound reverberated off the stone walls, creating a symphony of time that was both mesmerizing and terrifying. As midnight approached, the tension grew. The friends could feel the weight of the legend pressing down on them, the stories of Blackwood's New Year's Eve playing in their minds. They huddled together, their eyes fixed on the clock's hands. Each movement of the hands seemed to take an eternity, the anticipation building with every second. Time seemed to slow down. The seconds stretched into minutes, and the minutes felt like hours. The friends could almost hear their own heartbeats, synchronized with the ticking of the clock. Each tick of the clock brought them closer to the unknown. The legend spoke of a hidden truth that would be revealed at the stroke of midnight, a truth that had been buried for generations. Closer to the truth, behind the legend of Blackwood's New Year's Eve. As the final seconds ticked away, the friends braced themselves for the revelation that awaited them, knowing that their lives would never be the same again. The clock struck 12. A deafening clang echoed through the tower. The air grew icy cold. A swirling mist filled the room. The friends gasped in terror. The legend was real. Something was happening. The clock face began to glow an eerie green. Then figures began to emerge from the mist. Ghostly figures, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. They reached out towards the friends. Their cold skeletal fingers brushed against their skin. The friends screamed and tried to run, but the mist held them fast. The ghostly figures closed in. Their eyes seemed to burn into the friends' souls. They were trapped, frozen in time, at the mercy of these spectral beings. The clock tower seemed to pulse with an unseen energy. The air crackled with static electricity. The friends could feel their strength draining away.
We have to escape, but how?
The mist was too thick, the figures too strong. They were losing hope. Was this the end?
Then Max remembered something. Something his grandfather used to say about the legend. The countdown holds the key.
With renewed determination, Max rallied his friends. They had to finish the countdown. It was their only chance to break the curse.
10, 9, 8.
They shouted, their voices echoing through the tower, trying to be heard over the ghostly moans and the howling wind.
7, 6, 5.
The ghostly figures seemed to hesitate, their grip loosening slightly. The mist swirled faster as if caught in a whirlwind.
4, 3.
The clock face glowed even brighter, the room filled with blinding light. The friends shielded their eyes, their hearts pounding. 1! They cried out together, their voices hoarse but filled with all their remaining strength. The air was thick with tension, every breath a struggle, every heartbeat a reminder of the stakes. They had been through so much, and this was their final stand. The clock tower shuddered violently. Each tremor felt like the earth itself was rebelling against their efforts. The ancient structure, a silent witness to countless events, now seemed to be alive, reacting to their desperate cries. The ghostly figures shrieked and vanished, the mist dissipating as quickly as it had appeared. It was as if the very fabric of reality was being torn apart, the boundaries between the living and the dead blurring for those few intense moments. The friends collapsed to the floor, exhausted but alive. Their bodies ached, their minds were numb, but the relief of survival washed over them like a soothing balm. They had faced the unimaginable and had come out on the other side. They had escaped the curse. The weight of the dread that had hung over them for so long was finally lifting. They could feel the chains of fear breaking, allowing them to breathe freely for the first time in what felt like an eternity. They had survived Blackwood's New Year's Eve. The night that had promised doom had instead become a testament to their resilience and unity. The eerie celebrations, the dark omens, all seemed like distant memories now. But their ordeal was far from over. The shadows of doubt and fear still lingered, whispering that their victory might be short-lived. They knew that the true test of their courage was yet to come. They had made a chilling discovery. In their moment of triumph, a new horror had revealed itself, casting a dark shadow over their fleeting relief. The realization hit them like a cold wave, freezing their hearts with dread. As they looked up at the clock face, they realized something terrifying. The hands of the clock, which had been still for so long, were now moving with a relentless precision. The sight was both mesmerizing and horrifying. The clock was no longer broken. It was ticking. Each tick echoed in the silence, a reminder of the time they had lost and the time they had yet to face. The repaired clock seemed to mock their efforts, as if it held secrets they could never understand. And it was set to midnight. The final stroke of the clock would mark the beginning of a new chapter, one filled with unknown challenges and dangers. Midnight was no longer just a time. It was a symbol of their ongoing struggle and the price of their freedom. The friends stumbled out of the clock tower, blinking in the early morning light. The town was silent, everyone still safe inside their homes. They had survived the night, but the experience had changed them. They had looked into the abyss and lived to tell the tale. They knew the legend was real, but they also knew that the curse was not broken. It was merely delayed. The clock was ticking, and they were the only ones who knew the truth. The people of Blackwood woke up the next day, relieved that the clock tower still stood, unaware of the night's events. They would continue to whisper about the legend, but they would dismiss it as just a story. They were safe, for now. But the friends knew better. They knew that the true legend of Blackwood's New Year's Eve was just beginning, and they were now a part of it. The clock was ticking, and they were running out of time.